Welcome to True Horror Podcast, where we explore Australia's darkest mysteries. Today we're diving into a place that some call the heart of horror in Sydney, Gladesville. With its sinister asylum and the most infamous haunted house that earned the nickname Australia's Amityville, this suburb carries a legacy of fear, tragedy, and unanswered questions. But the deeper you dig into Gladesville, the darker it becomes. Is this just a place plagued by coincidence? Or is there something truly evil rooted in its soil? Due to the disturbing nature of this content, viewer discretion is advised. If you like your stories full of intrigue, if you've done it, and unexplained true horror, then you made it. True Horror Podcast is all that. Pull up your bed covers, turn off the light, and get ready to hear the bizarre, the mortifying, and supernatural tales where you decide if there's truth in what you hear. Let's start with the Gladesville Asylum, also known as the Tarban Creek Lunatic Asylum. Established in 1838, it was meant to be a sanctuary for the mentally ill, but instead it became a house of horrors. Patients were subjected to brutal treatments, restraints, isolation, and primitive methods meant to cure them. Over the decades, countless patients died within its walls. Most were buried in unmarked graves, and to this day, more than 1,200 remain undiscovered. It's said their restless souls never left. Paranormal investigators and urban explorers report ghostly figures roaming the abandoned buildings, whispers in empty halls, and the overwhelming sense of being watched. But the asylum isn't the only place in Gladesville haunted by its dark past. Just a stone's throw from the asylum lies an unassuming house known as the Gladesville Haunted House. Locals have compared it to the infamous Amityville house in the US. Over the years, multiple families have lived there and fled, terrified by what they experienced. Witnesses report objects moving on their own, doors slamming violently, and strange, unexplainable smells wafting through the rooms. Some residents claim to see shadowy figures lurking in the corners of their vision, while others reported being physically pushed or scratched by an unseen force. Pets often refuse to enter certain areas of the house, growling or whining as if sensing something sinister. But here's where the story takes an even darker turn. Some believe the asylum and the haunted house are connected. There are theories that the house was built on land once owned by the asylum. With so many unmarked graves scattered across Gladesville, is it possible the house was constructed atop one of them? Others argue that the asylum's history of trauma left a permanent stain on the area. Could the energy from decades of suffering have seeped into the surrounding land, creating a paranormal hotspot? Some even claim to have seen ghostly patients wandering from the asylum grounds towards the house at night as if drawn to it. The hospital grounds themselves are vast, covering over 80 acres. It's a picturesque setting with stunning views of the Parramatta River. But don't let the scenery fool you. Beneath the beauty lies a grim reality. Hidden within the grounds is a cemetery, marked and unmarked graves of over 1,000 patients who died within the asylum's walls. Many were buried without proper records or ceremonies. Their families, often ashamed of their institutionalized relatives, never claimed them. Today, the cemetery is a chilling reminder of the lives lost and forgotten. Some of the buildings, now abandoned, still stand. Their crumbling facades, broken windows, and graffiti-covered walls make them a magnet for urban explorers and ghost hunters alike. But many who visit report feeling an overwhelming sense of sadness or even terror. Shadows moving in empty hallways, disembodied screams, and inexplicable cold spots are just some of the phenomena. Over the years, countless eerie stories have emerged from Gladesville. One of the most infamous involves a nurse who worked there in the early 1900s. known only as Sister Mary. She was rumored to have been involved in the deaths of several patients. Some say she administered lethal doses of medication, while others believe she tortured her victims to death. Visitors to the old nurses' quarters claim to have seen a ghostly figure of a woman in a white uniform roaming the halls before vanishing into thin air. Then there's the story of the crying child. Records from the asylum reveal that children were occasionally admitted, often for epilepsy or behavioral issues. One such child, a boy named Thomas, reportedly died after being restrained in a straitjacket for days on end. Staff and patients alike reported hearing his cries long after his death, soft sobs that echoed through the wards at night. The horror of Gladesville isn't just in its ghosts. The real terror lies in the documented accounts of what went on inside. Patients were subjected to ice baths, electric shock therapy, and lobotomies, all common practices at the time, but horrific by today's standards. Survivors who were released from Gladesville often spoke of the inhumane conditions. One woman, committed in the 1950s for postpartum depression, later described her time there as worse than death. She detailed how patients were stripped of their dignity, forced to endure starvation diets, and regularly beaten for minor infractions. Adding to the mystery, some patients' records were deliberately destroyed in the 1970s when the hospital began to close down. Why were these files erased? Were they trying to cover up abuse, medical experiments, or something even darker? Beyond the paranormal, there are other bizarre theories surrounding Gladesville. Some locals believe the asylum's doctors performed experiments that went beyond psychiatric care, ones that left a lingering imprint of evil. Others point to stories of a cursed artifact allegedly hidden in the asylum's ruins, one that might be responsible for the supernatural phenomena in the area. And then there are whispers of cult activity near the haunted house, with rituals meant to channel the energy of the spirits trapped there. What is it about this Sydney suburb that seems to trap so much darkness? Is it the unmarked graves, the tragic history of the asylum, or something more unexplainable? Whatever the answer, Gladesville has cemented its place as one of Australia's most haunted locations. And even now, its shadowy reputation continues to grow, with new stories emerging from those brave or foolish enough to explore it.